The LG V20. So why did I switch to the Note 9? I'm Real Gion and welcome to the channel.
You know, when I first laid my Asian eyes on this phone, I knew it wasn't the best looking phone, and at that point, the upgrade was what I really wanted the most. I want my Note 3 2.0. This phone was it, because back then I wanted replaceable battery, but now looking back, I should have gone for best battery life instead. My idea was that if a phone has a replaceable battery, well, that's one less part that I can easily replace if something bad were to happen to the phone, like the battery overheating. Then I figured out that the phone was causing the batteries to overheat, and that's when it hit me. Anyways, rambling aside, this phone looks like a black slab, dark silver back, dual camera. It's really cool. Before everyone started doing the exact same thing. Until today, it's still awesome that this phone is aluminum and it comes with a replaceable battery. The covers feel really solid. This phone has a second display, which is something that I didn't find useful until I use it. This phone has a 5.7-inch LCD display, has a 1440p resolution, and a secondary 2.1-inch 160p display, so I guess you gotta combine the two, say it's 5.9. But then there's the camera slot, so I'm not really quite sure how to put this. On the top of the phone is an IR blaster, which is freaking awesome. Back then, when I used to have an older TV, I lost that remote, so I pretty much used this phone as my remote. On the back, it has that dual camera setup, the power button, which double up as a fingerprint scanner. On the side, you have the volume control and the button to release that back plate. No Bixby or Google assisted buttons here. On the bottom, you have the speaker grill, USB-C port, and that mighty headphone jack, which is so awesome on this phone. So freaking awesome. Oh, and let's not forget there's expandable storage up to 512 gigs as well. On the graphics department, this phone rocks the Adreno 530, which is also alright, maybe below average by today's standards. Most games should run just fine. It's when you're dealing with the more graphically intense games, that's when you run into problems. Games like Fortnite doesn't run as smoothly, and PPSSPP emulators would crash a lot more than usual. So if you don't play the latest games or run 3D emulators, this phone is really good. Then again, it couldn't just be my particular US 996 variant of the phone that has this problem, so I guess it's pretty much up to debate. On the graphics department, this phone rocks the Adreno 530, which is also alright, maybe below average by today's standards. Most games should run just fine. It's when you're dealing with the more graphically intense games, that's when you run into problems. Games like Fortnite doesn't run as smoothly, and PPSSPP emulators would crash a lot more than usual. So if you don't play the latest games or run 3D emulators, this phone is really good. Then again, it couldn't just be my particular US 996 variant of the phone that has this problem, so I guess it's pretty much up to debate. Out of the box, the phone comes with Android 7 Nougat. Then a long time has passed until sometime in February of 2019 there's an update for Oreo, and I think this is it. Maybe we should probably wait another 3 years for Pi. On the other hand, you might be thinking that, well, at least this phone gets updates. There are certain phones that just stay that way. This comes down to how much do you value software updates, because for me, updates are only valuable if they either increase the battery life or increase the camera performance, which should be something that most people are using. With the updates, honestly, I cannot tell if there's an increase in battery life, and I believe the camera looks exactly the same, but if you guys can tell the difference, let me know in the comment section down below. The one thing I hate about the software updates is that I'm afraid they might pull an Apple where they slow down the phone on purpose because they want to increase battery life, quote unquote. Honestly, I think those guys just want to slow down the phone so that you would buy another one. The back cameras are a 16 megapixel standard camera with an f1.8 aperture and a 3-axis OIS, and there's the 8 megapixel ultra wide with the f2.4 aperture, no autofocus. The camera in auto mode is not the best, which sucks because most people would just use auto mode when taking pictures and filming videos. Most people don't have the patience to learn about pro mode and get the most out of the camera, and personally, I think this is a bummer. If the phone has updates to where they drastically improve the auto mode, then I can see people getting this phone today with the cheap price that it's going for in the market. The pictures look good. It will get the job done in the right conditions. When the conditions are not ideal, the pictures and videos can look very grainy, very low quality. For example, if you check out my Note 9 review, link in the description, I mainly used this phone to film that video in the right conditions. Man, the video looks really freaking good, but in the right conditions. Then there's the 5 megapixel selfie camera, which is not the best at all. This is something where if you want to use it, you can. The image quality will not be good no matter how good the conditions are. The camera just manages not to look good. Again, check out my review of the Note 9 where I talk about the sound quality. I'm using the selfie camera and it just does not look good. Having any selfie camera is better than having no selfie camera, so if you want to use this camera in a pinch, you can, just don't expect it to be great. My phone lasts 3 hours, maybe 4 if I don't use it a lot. My phone would overheat super quickly after about 10 minutes of playing some kind of graphically intense game. The phone will be really warm. If you keep pushing it, the phone will get hot. I don't know if you guys experience something like this too when you use the phone, but for me, it's a constant struggle. When it first happened, I thought it was a fluke, and then it continued. I thought it was a battery, so I bought a replacement battery. It wasn't the battery, it was the phone, and there's nothing I can do about that. This, and the fact that this phone can't play emulators that I wanted, are the two things that made me move to a different phone. If these problems did not exist, honestly, I would be fine with the camera and just use the money to buy a DSLR for YouTube. Oh well, live and learn.
Honestly, if it didn't have problems like overheating and not being able to play games for a long time, I would think this is the phone to end all phones. Let's face it, there are no phones now with replaceable battery. The headphone jack has 1 foot in the grave. And do you even remember the IR blaster? There are so many awesome features on this phone, and it's the reason why I decided not to sell it, because it makes such a great traveling phone. Later on in life, when I do have the funds to go around the world, I plan on taking this phone with me because it is so nice to have replaceable battery. At the time of this video, there is no fast charging that's faster than you popping out the back plate and changing the battery. If you don't care for gaming and you just want a phone that gets the job done, and you don't want to spend an arm and a leg, really check this one out. Anyways, comment, subscribe, click the bell for more content. You guys stay awesome.